If you think drama is all heartbreak and cliches, get ready to be blindsided. When the world changed after the war, movies did too, forever. Which films took raw pain, ambition, and quiet rebellion and turned them into stories that forced audiences to see life differently? Let's dive in and meet the dramas that didn't just tell history, they rewrote it. Bicycle Thieves 1948. Forget everything you think you know about happy endings. Bicycle Thieves is a gut punch that changed cinema with the quiet power of real life. Set in the battered streets of post-war Rome, this Italian masterpiece doesn't bother with glossy stars or staged drama. Director Vittorio De Sica cast everyday people, real workers, real kids, to tell a story that could have happened to anyone scraping by after the war. At its heart, it's painfully simple. A man finally lands a job to feed his family, but the bicycle he needs gets stolen. What follows isn't a crime thriller or a heroic quest. It's a desperate, citywide search, father and son navigating a world that doesn't care about their struggle. Every scene is raw. The city feels alive, noisy, crowded, coldly indifferent. The father's pride is slowly crushed as every attempt to reclaim his life ends in humiliation. And yet, De Sica finds poetry in the heartbreak. The bond between father and son turns every failure into something more powerful than victory, a quiet resilience you can feel in your bones. When Bicycle Thieves hit the screens, audiences weren't just moved, they were shaken awake. Critics called it the beginning of a new kind of movie, one that traded fairy tales for truth, fantasy for empathy. Suddenly, drama wasn't just entertainment, it was survival. And in a world rebuilding from ashes, that felt like the bravest story anyone could tell. Sunset Boulevard 1950. Lights, camera, delusion. Sunset Boulevard isn't just a movie, it's Hollywood flipping the mirror on itself, and what it sees isn't pretty. Billy Wilder's classic opens with a dead man floating in a pool, then rewinds to unravel the tale of washed-up screenwriter Joe Gillis and faded silent film star Norma Desmond. This isn't your typical Tinseltown romance. Instead, it's a razor-sharp takedown of the fame machine, told with wit so dark it practically sparkles. Gloria Swanson's Norma is unforgettable, a woman clawing at the ruins of her former glory, trapped in a mansion that feels more like a mausoleum than a home. When Joe stumbles into her world, both are drawn into a desperate game. She craves adoration. He just wants a paycheck. But this movie doesn't let anyone off easy. Every scene drips with irony, from the lavish costumes to the desperate attempts at a comeback. The famous line, "I am big, it's the pictures that got small," still echoes through pop culture for a reason. Wilder's script doesn't just lampoon the industry, it's a eulogy for all the dreams Hollywood promised but never delivered. Audiences were scandalized, insiders felt attacked, and the film was almost banned for its honesty. By the time the credits roll, Sunset Boulevard has delivered its warning. In a town built on illusion, the scariest thing is seeing yourself for who you really are. No wonder it's still haunting movie lovers today. Rashimon 1950. Think you know what really happened? Rashimon is here to mess with your head and your trust in facts. Akira Kurosawa's groundbreaking drama cracks open the simple idea of truth and leaves you questioning everything, especially yourself. The film starts with a murder and an assault in a forest. But forget about easy answers. 4 witnesses tell 4 wildly different versions of what went down. Was it jealousy, fate, or something darker? Each testimony is delivered with so much conviction you want to believe everyone, and that's the trick. Kurosawa plays with shadows, weather, and close-ups to draw you into the confusion. The rain never stops, and neither do the lies. The cast, led by Toshiro Mifune, keeps you guessing with every twitch and every glance. When Rashomon exploded onto the world stage, nobody had seen anything like it. The word itself became a shorthand for any mystery with no clear answer. Directors everywhere stole its techniques. Suddenly, films didn't have to spoon-feed the truth. Instead, Rashomon argued that maybe there is no single truth, just stories, colored by ego, fear, and hope. For post-war audiences grappling with blame and memory, it was a revelation. And for anyone who's ever wondered what's real and what's just someone's version, this is where it all began. A Streetcar Named Desire, 1951. Some movies whisper. This one screams. A Streetcar Named Desire yanked American drama into a new, bruising era. Adapted from Tennessee Williams's incendiary play, the film explodes with passion and pain. Vivien Leigh is unforgettable as Blanche Dubois, a fragile dreamer clinging to gentility in a world that's left her behind. But it's Marlon Brando, young, raw, unpredictable, who lights the screen on fire. Set in the sweaty streets of New Orleans, the story is a collision course between Blanche's fantasies and the brutal reality embodied by Brando's Stanley Kowalski. Stanley isn't a villain from a distance. He's flesh and blood, all appetite and aggression, and the movie refuses to look away. Director Elia Kazan dials up the tension until you can almost feel the walls closing in. Every room feels claustrophobic. Every conversation threatens to explode. The famous Stella scream is just the tip of the emotional iceberg. When A Streetcar Named Desire hit theaters, it shocked audiences with its raw honesty. Censors tried to chop it up, but the intensity couldn't be hidden. Leigh won an Oscar for her unraveling. Brando became a star, and Hollywood never went back to the old, polite melodramas. This film didn't just change how dramas looked, it changed how they felt. You could see yourself in the pain, the longing, and the messy fights. Drama, it turned out, was meant to hurt a little. Tokyo Story 1953. Most movies shout for your attention. Tokyo Story whispers. And somehow, it breaks you anyway. Yasujiro Ozu's masterpiece unfolds so gently, you almost don't notice your heart is being squeezed until the final credits roll. An elderly couple travels to bustling Tokyo to visit their grown children. They hope for family warmth. What they get is indifference and awkwardness. The parents drift from one child's apartment to another, never quite fitting in, always on the edge of someone else's busy life. There are no melodramatic confrontations or big speeches. Ozu's camera sits low, quietly observing the tiny gestures that reveal disappointment, loneliness, and love. Every cup of tea, every polite smile is loaded with meaning. Tokyo Story is about the slow ache of time, the realization that children grow up, priorities shift, and nothing lasts forever. When tragedy finally arrives, it's so understated you almost miss it. But the pain lingers, as real and persistent as the quiet hum of city life. Western critics called it slow, but over time, its emotional power became undeniable. Today, directors everywhere chase its subtle magic. Tokyo Story proved you don't need fireworks to change the world. Sometimes, the gentlest heartbreak leaves the deepest mark. On the Waterfront 1954, sometimes a single film grabs the American dream, drags it down to the docks, and demands a hard look at reality. That's On the Waterfront. Director Elia Kazan drops us into the world of longshoremen ruled by fear and corruption, where silence is safer than honesty and no one really wins. Marlon Brando's Terry Malloy is a new kind of hero, awkward, brooding, heartbreakingly real. He's not a man with a plan. He's a guy who once could have been a contender, now trapped by bad choices and worse company. Brando's every shrug and stammer makes you feel the weight of disappointment and longing for dignity. The film doesn't sugarcoat anything. The unions are brutal, the bosses are corrupt, and violence is just part of the job. But everything shifts when Terry meets Edie, played by Eva Marie Saint. Suddenly, there's a reason to fight back. Their romance is awkward and honest. No sweeping music, just two damaged souls finding hope in each other. Kazan shoots the dockside world with cold grit, every shadow loaded with menace. The famous rooftop speech, Brando's confession to his brother, became an instant classic. On the Waterfront exploded the myth that tough guys couldn't have a conscience. Audiences saw themselves in Terry's moral struggle. When he finally stands up to corruption, it's not just a victory for one man, it's a call to action for everyone who's ever stayed quiet out of fear. That's a revolution on film. Rebel Without a Cause, 1955. Before Rebel Without a Cause, teenage rebellion was a punchline, something to outgrow. Then James Dean showed up in his red jacket, and suddenly, growing up looked a lot more dangerous. Nicholas Ray's drama is a blast of raw, nervous energy. We meet Jim Stark, the new kid in town, already in trouble and already misunderstood. At home, his parents bicker and baby him. At school, he's torn between tough kids and lonely outsiders. The movie takes teen struggle seriously, painting it with all the violence, confusion, and aching loneliness that adults preferred to ignore. Dean's performance is pure electricity. He mumbles, cries, lashes out, a mess of heartbreak and hope. Natalie Wood and Sal Mineo match him step for step, creating a triangle of lost souls trying to find a reason to belong. Rebel Without a Cause is full of moments that sear themselves into your memory. Drag races, planetarium speeches, midnight confessions. But what sticks is the film's respect for its characters. These kids aren't jokes or villains. They're just lost, and the world doesn't have a map for them. The film became a touchstone for generations of outsiders. Suddenly, drama wasn't just for grown-ups. It was for anyone who ever felt out of place. After this, Hollywood couldn't write off teen pain as just a phase. The revolution had a face, and his name was James Dean. The Seventh Seal, 1957. Want a drama that tackles the biggest questions with the strangest imagery? The Seventh Seal is your movie. Set in plague-ridden medieval Sweden, this is the film that made foreign cinema cool and gave us one of the most iconic images in movie history: a knight playing chess with death. Director Ingmar Bergman wasn't interested in easy answers. His knight, fresh from the Crusades, returns home to a land gripped by fear and superstition. Instead of a hero's welcome, he finds only silence, sickness, and death at every turn. The film is full of strange beauty. Wind-swept beaches, shadowy forests, and processions of the doomed set a stage where philosophy and panic collide. The knight's chess game with death is both literal and symbolic, every move a meditation on faith, doubt, and what, if anything, comes next. But The Seventh Seal isn't just bleak. There are moments of humor, warmth, even hope. Jesters, actors, and peasants fill the world with color and life, even as darkness creeps closer. When it hit theaters, some critics didn't know what to make of it, but audiences who stuck with it found themselves haunted by its imagery and its questions. Can art make sense of suffering? Does anything matter in the face of death? Bergman never hands out easy answers. Instead, The Seventh Seal invites you to sit down at the table and play along. Just don't expect to win. The 400 Blows, 1959. Most movies about kids sugarcoat the truth. The 400 Blows rips off the wrapping and lets the hurt show. François Truffaut's breakthrough drama kicked off the French New Wave, but its real power comes from how honestly it deals with being young and trapped. Meet Antoine Doinel, a boy lost in a world that doesn't care. His parents are distracted, his teachers are cruel, and Paris is more playground than home. He skips school, pulls pranks, and dreams of escape. The film doesn't judge him. Instead, it invites you to see the world through his hungry, restless eyes. Truffaut shoots Paris like a living, breathing place. Alleys, arcades, gray skies. The city is both a cage and a jungle. Every detail feels real, every moment borrowed from someone's actual childhood. When Antoine finally runs away and races toward the sea, the film's final freeze frame became legendary. Is it hope or is it heartbreak? The ambiguity is the point. The 400 Blows made critics rethink what movies could do. Childhood wasn't all laughter and sunshine. It could be confusing, lonely, and desperate. For anyone who ever felt misunderstood or out of place, this film is a lifeline. The new wave was born, and cinema was never the same again. Laentura, 1960. Laentura isn't interested in giving you what you want, and that's exactly what makes it unforgettable. Michelangelo Antonioni's mysterious drama starts like a thriller. A woman disappears during a yachting trip and her friends set out to find her. But as the search stretches on, the mystery becomes almost irrelevant. Instead of clues and resolutions, the film offers empty landscapes, awkward silences, and characters who seem lost even before anything goes wrong. The missing woman is quickly forgotten. The search turns into a strange dance of lust, boredom, and alienation. Antonioni's camera lingers on faces and spaces, soaking in the emptiness of wealth and modern life. The characters drift through Italy's rocky islands, talking but rarely connecting. Audiences at Cannes booed at first, confused and frustrated by a story that refused to play by the rules. But something about Laentura stuck. Its refusal to wrap things up in a neat bow felt honest, even daring. The emptiness of the mystery mirrored the emptiness inside the characters. Filmmakers around the world took notice. Suddenly, it was okay for a film to be more about mood than answers, more about questions than conclusions. Laentura broke the rules, and in the process, set a new standard for what drama could be. Unsettling, beautiful, and utterly unforgettable. La Dolce Vita, 1960. Step into a world where every night promises excitement, but morning brings only emptiness. La Dolce Vita is more than just a portrait of Rome's swinging jet set. It's Federico Fellini's wild, dazzling search for meaning in the age of spectacle. The movie follows Marcello, a gossip journalist who floats from party to party, chasing celebrities and cheap thrills while secretly longing for something real. The camera soaks up the excess: wild parties, midnight swims in fountains, love affairs that burn bright and then vanish. The iconic scene of Anita Ekberg wading through the Trevi Fountain. Cinema doesn't get more legendary. But La Dolce Vita is no fantasy. Beneath all the fun, there's a creeping sense of futility. The parties never end, but nobody's really happy. Marcello's search for meaning keeps hitting dead ends. Even when surrounded by the beautiful and famous, he feels more lost than ever. Fellini's mix of spectacle and melancholy blew audiences away. Some saw it as a celebration, others as a warning. Either way, no one could look away. The movie's style, its blend of satire, sadness, and surreal beauty, would become a template for filmmakers everywhere. By the end, you're left wondering, is this the sweet life or a never-ending masquerade? La Dolce Vita holds up a glittering mirror to modern society and dares you to look beyond the surface. To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962. Hollywood loves heroes, but To Kill a Mockingbird delivered a different kind: quiet, steady, and stubbornly decent. In the Deep South, where prejudice runs deep, Gregory Peck's Atticus Finch is a single father, a small-town lawyer, and the unlikeliest icon of courage in American film. The story is seen through the eyes of his young daughter Scout, who watches as her father defends a black man falsely accused of a terrible crime. The threat isn't just in the courtroom, it's outside, in the whispers and angry stares of neighbors who don't want justice, just tradition. Director Robert Mulligan gives the film a gentle southern rhythm, but the stakes couldn't be higher. Every scene crackles with tension. A lone man facing down a mob, a child's first taste of injustice, a community forced to look in the mirror. Peck's performance set a new standard for movie heroes, measured not by violence or swagger, but by integrity. When it premiered, To Kill a Mockingbird challenged audiences to look beyond easy answers and confront the world's messy moral failures. It's the rare drama that leaves you changed, hopeful that even one honest person can make a difference. Decades later, it remains a call to conscience and one of the most beloved dramas in cinema history. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, 1966. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf isn't just a drama, it's a bare-knuckle brawl set in a living room, with words used as weapons and secrets as ammunition. When the curtain rises, you know you're in for a fight, and by the end, you might wonder who really won. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton are electric as Martha and George, a middle-aged couple locked in a toxic routine of insults and mind games. Their marriage is a war zone, and tonight they've invited a younger couple to witness the carnage. Drinks flow, truths are twisted, and nobody leaves unscathed. Mike Nichols directs with claustrophobic intensity, trapping you in the room as every joke becomes a jab and every memory gets weaponized. Taylor, usually glamorous, turns savage and vulnerable by turns, while Burton's George fires back with icy sarcasm and desperate honesty. When the movie hit screens, censors nearly fainted. No one had ever seen marriage shown so raw, so honest, so mean, but audiences couldn't look away. Suddenly, drama didn't have to be polite or tidy. It could be ugly, messy, and real. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf proved that grown-up stories didn't have to hold back. For better or worse, this film showed that drama could cut deeper than ever before. The Graduate, 1967. The Graduate is a coming-of-age story that pokes a hole in the American dream and then jumps through it. Mike Nichols' iconic drama turns the confusion and alienation of a new generation into sharp, unforgettable cinema. Dustin Hoffman's Benjamin Braddock is the face of youthful malaise, smart, aimless, and already tired of everything. Fresh from college and smothered by parental expectations, Benjamin drifts through parties and polite conversations with a look that says, "Is this all there is?" Then comes Mrs. Robinson, a family friend who turns seduction into a challenge. The movie is loaded with humor, heartbreak, and the unforgettable sound of Simon and Garfunkel. What sets The Graduate apart is how perfectly it captures the feeling of being lost in the middle of a world that already has you figured out. The adults are clueless, the kids are restless, and nobody really talks about what matters. The film's ending, a mad dash to stop a wedding, followed by a silent, uncertain bus ride, became the ultimate image of what now? For anyone who's ever stared at the future and drawn a blank, The Graduate hit home. This wasn't just another drama, it was the anthem of a generation, and it made confusion look cool. A Clockwork Orange 1971. Just when you think drama can't get any weirder, Stanley Kubrick kicks down the door. A Clockwork Orange is dystopian cinema at its most daring, most unsettling, and most unforgettable. Set in a future where society is obsessed with order, the film follows Alex, a teenager with a taste for chaos. Kubrick doesn't flinch from the disturbing details. The city is cold, authorities are colder, and nobody on any side is a true hero. Every frame is a jolt to the senses. Kubrick's visuals are candy-colored and nightmarish, blending pop art style with grim subject matter. Malcolm McDowell's performance as Alex is hypnotic. He's charming and terrifying all at once. But it's not just about shock. A Clockwork Orange asks huge questions. Can you really force someone to be good? Is freedom worth the risk? The movie's famous treatment scenes, where the state tries to fix Alex, are still debated and referenced in pop culture today. When it debuted, censors and critics were split. Some called it genius, others wanted it banned, but nobody could ignore it. The movie's impact was immediate. Films everywhere got bolder, stranger, and more willing to challenge audiences. In a single film, Kubrick changed the game and dared you to look away. Spoiler, you won't. So, after all the heartbreak, rebellion, and cinematic rule-breaking, which of these dramas hit you the hardest? These films didn't just change movies, they changed us, forcing us to see the world and ourselves in new ways. Drop your favorite in the comments, hit subscribe for more stories that matter, and remember, real drama never leaves you the same.